What's up, guys? So today we're taking a look at Cyrax. Should you be summoning for him because he's incredible, or is he just a skippable piece of trash? Well, he's a 5-star character, so just based on his stat scalings, he's better than most characters. However, when compared to the other 5-star characters, this guy sucks. Don't waste your orbs. Alright, video over. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Some of you want more details, huh? Fine. But before we do that, drop a like on this video, leave a comment, help me out. I make like $2 in ad revenue off of these videos, and I'm spending like upwards of $60 on these garbage characters. So help me reach more people by dropping a like and a comment. I'd appreciate it. Alright, I guess we can get into the specifics. Grab a pen and paper because it's lecture time. The first thing to note about Cyrax is that he is a defender class character, although he's definitely more of a bruiser. For those of you who aren't sure what I mean by that, allow me to explain. The term Bruiser refers to a tanky character that tends to favor a more damage-focused build, ultimately resulting in a character that has a healthy mix of both damage and survivability. In Mortal Kombat Onslaught in particular, we use the term Bruiser because in the first few patches of the game, in addition to classes, characters also had roles. Each class used to split into one of two roles. Defender class characters actually used to be called tank class characters, and then they would split into either defenders or bruisers. An easy way to think of it is as follows. Right now, all defender class characters have massive amounts of health. It's their primary stat. However, tank type defenders' next highest stat would typically be defense, while bruiser type defenders will typically have attack as their next highest stat, relative to other characters. So, while roles have since been removed from Onslaught, this does not mean that all defender class characters play the same. You typically want to use a bruiser as an off tank, backing up your main tank. You can think of bruisers as slightly tankier warriors that do slightly less damage, while having to use defender relics. If you position a bruiser to be your main tank, you're gonna have a bad time, because they'll typically crumble pretty quickly since they won't have much defense backing up their big health bar. If you're unsure how to tell whether a defender is a tank type or a bruiser type, you want to take a close look at their abilities. Generally speaking, a true tank-type defender will either have some sort of a defense boost mechanic, some sort of damage reduction, or at least a taunt. If a defender can't taunt, doesn't have any sort of defense gain, and doesn't have any sort of damage mitigation, they're probably a bruiser. A great example of a tank-type defender is Undying Shao Kahn. When he uses his special, he does an AoE taunt that steals attack from enemies and converts it into a self-defense boost. This makes him very tanky. By comparison, Cyrax's special sees him open his chest, extend a giant buzzsaw, and proceed to eviscerate a nearby enemy target for massive damage. Nothing tanky about that. And so help me, if one of you comments, "The best defense is a good offense," I will slap your mother. Now, Cyrax is a very single target character. Like, literally all of his abilities are single target. So he's definitely stronger against fewer high health targets, ideally a single boss, and definitely weaker against waves with several enemies, simply because it takes him a while to kill them one at a time. So what does Cyrax actually do? Well, the short version is that he cripples a single target and then unleashes his special to do a massive amount of damage. And that's pretty much it. I will say that between his high single target damage and his naturally high health, he's not particularly fun to try in 1v1. Like Cyber Smoke, Cyrax also improves when alongside Cyber teammates, although he's definitely way less team dependent and will hold his own just fine as a solo character. Let's talk specifics. His passive grants him Reflect when he loses more than 15% of his max HP from a single hit, and the more Reflect damage he deals, the more he boosts the critical damage dealt by his next special. At level 5, he's reflecting for 9 seconds, and each reflected hit is boosting the crit damage on his special by an additional 3%. His first auto is really the core of his kit. He shoots his net, which deals damage, but it also has a 30% chance to apply Pin to his target, which will prevent the enemy from using their special, as well as dramatically reduce their dodge. If they get pinned, they also get weakened, meaning they take more damage. His second auto guarantees exactly that, because by default, the ability does mediocre damage, but against a pinned enemy, it has a 100% critical chance. This is even more devastating than it might seem if you factor in his first combo, which boosts his critical damage by 50% if he successfully applied Pin with his net. And finally, his special is a massive multi-hit attack, which at level 7 is dealing 123% of his attack as damage 3 times, but it scales with his accuracy, granting up to 5 additional hits, 1 for every 100 points of accuracy he has. This means his ultimate can hit a target for 984% of his attack. Not to mention it gains an additional 3% crit chance for each cyber teammate. And don't forget that if he just successfully pinned a target, he'll also have plus 50% crit damage from his combo and be attacking an enemy who is weakened. If there's one aspect of this guy's kit that I do not want to undersell, it's his special. It frickin' hurts. Like, a lot. Like, it can basically one-shot anyone, if you make him strong enough. I'm not exaggerating, he can easily do 500,000 damage with his special. Beware the Buzzsaw. His second combo is fairly inconsequential, in that it heals him for 200% of his mastery after he uses his special. Nothing exciting to see here. Now we have to talk about his illness. For those who didn't know, Cyrax is actually very sick. He suffers from a debilitating condition known as stat greediness. What I mean by this is that he's a defender, so he benefits greatly from health, but he also gets guaranteed critical hits on his special, meaning he wants critical damage. But he also gains boosted critical damage from his combo, meaning he wants critical chance. And then his special scales off of accuracy, meaning he wants accuracy. Oh, and for good measure, thanks to his second combo, he wants mastery. Plus, at the end of the day, he's a single target damage dealer, so obviously he also wants attack. So all in all, he wants health, critical chance, critical damage, accuracy, mastery, and attack. Characters suffering from stat greediness make it very difficult to really optimize their performance. For example, you're inevitably going to give up a good amount of attack to build the additional accuracy needed to make his special trigger those additional hits. So let's recap. How good is Cyrax? Well, he's a much better standalone character than his teammate, Cyber Smoke. However, at his core, he's just a strong bruiser who excels at 1v1s, though he suffers from stat greediness. As he stands, he'll win a good amount of 1v1s if you heavily invest in him, but he will definitely underperform in game modes like Arena as compared to other bruisers who do more AoE damage. Fire God Liu Kang was also released this patch, and he simply does a much better job overall as a plug-and-play Mind Affinity bruiser. Not to mention, Fire God Liu Kang also does great as a main tank, unlike Cyrax. So based off of that, I have to rank Cyrax as skippable. Save your Master Orbs. The next 2 characters coming this patch are Shadowmancer Noob Saibot and Hellfire Scorpion, and both of them look absolutely incredible. So make like Wall Street bets and hodl. I will say, however, that if you haven't watched my video on Cyber Smoke yet, you definitely need to go check that out, as there's still a very real possibility that Cyrax ends up being a core member of potentially the most devastating team in the game. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go watch my Cyber Smoke video. It includes some data mines that are super important for you to see if you're on the fence about Cyrax. But otherwise, that's the rundown. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Please be sure to like, subscribe, blah blah YouTuber stuff, blah blah blah, and I will see you guys real soon. Until next time. Peace!